What am I not excited to eat? I don't know. I'm excited to eat anytime. I'm sure most of you can identify with that. Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another meal prep video. So today I'm sharing with you another meal prep. I don't know what I'm going to title this. I feel like it's going to be like a real life, let's use what's in my fridge so that I don't waste anything meal prep. I'll have to figure out a more succinct title for that, but you know what I mean. So this weekend, what I really want to focus on is sort of going through my fridge, seeing what I got at the grocery store this weekend, seeing what I still have in there from last weekend, what can I salvage, what can I make to get us through breakfast, lunches, and dinners for the rest of this week. So I have some things kind of laid out on the counter here. I'm going to show you that and then just tell you what I'm planning on making with them, and then we'll get into the meal prep portion. All right, so some weeks I have this a lot more planned out than I do today, but sometimes it's just nice to get everything out of your refrigerator, decide what you want to do, and then make your game plan from there. I was traveling this past week, and so there are some things that I need to get used up, some things that I got at the grocery store. I can't remember if I said that already, but either way, here's what I'm working with. So I did pick up some of these chicken apple sausages. These are really good. They're from Walmart. I've been liking to slice these up and use them for my breakfast during the week, so that's what I'll probably do with those. I have a purple carrot meal. This is a Moroccan spiced chickpea tagine, so it has quinoa in it, some Moroccan spices, garbanzo beans, diced tomatoes, and then I thought maybe that I have some shrimp in the freezer too. I might use that with this. I know this is supposed to be a plant-based meal, but you can obviously customize them. And if anyone else has a husband that is more likely to eat food if it has protein in it, raise their hand. I know that's me for sure. I got some eggs out. My kids have been liking to have hard-boiled eggs in the morning for breakfast. And it's a great, food to prep ahead. They keep in the refrigerator really well. I have some tomatoes that I need to wash up, a cucumber, some peppers. I may do some homemade hummus. I'm not quite sure yet to have with the cucumber and the peppers. I have a bag of tricolor coleslaw that still looks really good. And so I think what I'm going to do with this is do egg roll in a bowl, maybe with some of the chopped zucchini and pepper. I have a couple bits of red onion here that I need to get used up. Some spring onions that are looking a little haggard, but I can sort of trim the dead pieces or the wilty pieces off and use that. For the egg roll in a bowl, I thought out a pound of ground beef, some celery, sorry that's my Roomba, that I got that I need to get washed up and chopped. I also like to do broccoli and cauliflower as a steamed vegetable for a side during the week, and that's one thing that we're going to have this week. And so you can easily cut this up and wash it ahead of time and then just store it in a Ziploc bag, and then it's ready to go during the week. I also have some strawberries that I need to get washed up. So that's sort of what I'm working with today. I may make a few more lunches for Adam and I, either like a salad, maybe a tuna salad or something. I'm not quite sure yet, but at any rate, you can come along with me and see what I get meal prepped today. The first thing that I'm going to get started on is some hard-boiled eggs in my Instant Pot, and I know you guys that have watched my channel for a long time are probably like, oh my god, if I have to see you make eggs in the Instant Pot one more time, I'm gonna lose it. But at any rate, I'm going to show you because I know that there's always new people joining. So I use the 5-5-5 method for eggs in my Instant Pot hard-boiled. This is the best way, in my opinion, to make hard-boiled eggs. They peel super easy. So I just have my trivet in the bottom. There's a cup of water in there, and I have 8 eggs. I didn't want to do too many because I don't want to waste them. I'm going to close this, set this to sealing, and then I'm just going to do manual for 5 minutes, let them cook. I'll do a natural pressure release for 5 minutes, and then I'll release the valve and soak them in some cold ice water for 5 minutes. Actually, soak them for longer than that. That's the easiest way to make hard-boiled eggs if you have an Instant Pot. I'm going to go ahead and get started on this Moroccan chickpea tagine. I'm making a few modifications because the green beans that I had from last week went south and I had to throw them away. So I'm going to use zucchini in place of those, but otherwise I'm going to make this recipe pretty true to the original purple carrot one with the addition of some shrimp If you don't get purple carrot, no worries. I will find this recipe online and link it down below if you want to make it. First, I'm going to rinse my quinoa. I think this is probably optional, but I always rinse either my quinoa or my rice because I don't want it to be like starchy and sticky and stick together. I want it to be more fluffy. So I just put the quinoa in a fine mesh strainer and then rinsed it with cold water, and I'm going to get it into the pot. In my saucepan, I have the quinoa, 1 cup of water, and some olive oil. So I'm going to bring that to a boil and cook it for about 8 to 10 minutes or until the quinoa is cooked through. I really like this little saucepan. I think my mom got it for me for Christmas. It's an Anilon. It's nonstick, and so it's great for making things like this, and I love that it has a lid. I will find it on Amazon and link it down below. So this recipe calls for an onion, but since I have these green onions left, I'm going to use this in the recipe instead. So I showed you guys these at the beginning. They were looking pretty haggard. I just trimmed all of like the wilty pieces off. I'm trimming the ends off and tossing those. And then there's my Instant Pot. These will go into my salad spinner here. If you're new to my channel, you might not know that I use my salad spinner to clean all of my produce. So these go in here, and then I just run them in the sink with really cold water, soak them in some vinegar solution with cold water, and that cleans them up. If you guys haven't noticed, green onions are pretty dirty, so make sure you wash those. In the meantime, my eggs have finished, so I have them over here in a bowl of ice water. The ice is already melted, but those can just sit there in cold water until I'm ready to peel them. My quinoa is done, so that is just resting in here, nice and fluffy and warm. We'll use that in a little bit. So what I'm going to do is use my new garlic press. I actually bought this on Amazon, and I can link it down below. It's super inexpensive. I got it because it didn't have multiple pieces, and I felt like it was something that I could put in the dishwasher pretty easily. So I got that. I'm going to mince up 2 cloves of garlic, 1 zucchini, which I'm substituting for the green beans, and some of the white parts of the green onions, and I'm going to get that started sauteing in some olive oil. All right, so I wish you guys could smell this because it smells delicious, but I've got my veggies in here sauteing. The garlic is starting to get a little bit brown, so I think I'm going to go ahead and add in the chickpeas that I rinsed and drained, and my can of tomatoes and some salt and pepper, but this is smelling delicious. I went ahead and added the spices and the tomatoes and the chickpeas. I also added some za'atar spice, which I get that on Amazon. I can link it down below. So this tastes really good. I also salted it quite a bit because you have to remember that, you know, canned chickpeas and tomatoes have no salt in them. So you want to make sure you season it. I'm going to put the shrimp on top of here and then just cover it with a lid and just let it simmer until the shrimp are cooked through. And then I will shut it off and show you guys how I plate it up, or not really plate it up, but put it into meal prep dishes. Okay, so this is the Moroccan chickpea tagine all plated up. I did add the shrimp as I talked about before. So I went ahead and put some of the cooked quinoa in the bottom of here, along with some of the chickpea and zucchini and tomato mixture. I made sure to not overcook the shrimp because obviously you're going to be heating this up, so you don't want it to be rubbery. So I cooked them like just until they were done and then took the lid off. But they steamed up perfectly. So Adam and I can each take one of these. And then I went ahead and packed the cucumber salad separately in these little dressing cups. These are the larger ones. I get them on Amazon. I can link these down below. So all we have to do then is heat this up and then dump the salad on the top and we'll have a nice dinner. So super looking forward to eating these this week. All right, so I'm gonna work on my eggs. These have been cooling in some water and I like to do this over a paper towel just to catch the extra water. That one peeled off super easy. But when you do them in the Instant Pot, they peel so easily. And I like to have the extra bowl of water here just to like rinse off the shells. And then pop them on the paper towel. So don't be afraid to, you know, whack the shell, break it off, and then you have your completed hard-boiled eggs. So probably what I'm gonna do with these is I'm going to save 4 of them whole for my kids to have this week for breakfast. So that will give them 2 mornings of breakfast with 1 hard-boiled egg each. And then for the rest of these, I think I'm gonna go ahead and do deviled eggs. My kids will not eat deviled eggs. I feel like Connor would probably like them if he would try them. He's my least picky kid, but sometimes getting him to try new things is a little bit challenging. Either way, I think I will have 4 left over to do deviled eggs with. So I'll set them out for dinner tonight. And then if we don't end up eating them for dinner, I can just pack them in Adam's lunches for the rest of the week. They'll stay for a few days in the fridge. So, okay, those are all done. Let me grab a dish. Let me know if you guys peel your hard-boiled eggs before you put them in the refrigerator. I've heard both ways. I am gonna use this container. This is a Systema container. I do feel like they're on Amazon. I can link them down below. I'm gonna put 4 of the peeled eggs in here. These will be for the kids this week. They'll obviously eat them within the next couple days, so I don't have to worry about saving them for a long time, but I will put these in the refrigerator for their breakfast. I have this really cute little deviled egg container. It actually has 2 tiers to it, but since I'm only making, you know, the 4 eggs, I'm just going to use the top half of it. I actually got this at my grocery store randomly one day, but I do think you can get them on Amazon. They actually hold, so what, it'd be 12 eggs, 24 deviled eggs. I really like it. If I can find one on Amazon, I'll link it down below. So to make my deviled eggs, I just carefully cut the egg in half, and then I have a little bowl here to catch the egg yolk. So I'm just gonna carefully pop those out into there. I like to use like a really sharp paring knife, like a smooth paring knife to cut the eggs so that I don't get any like grooves on my egg whites. Not that it matters because it's only my family eating this and they're not really concerned about the about the presentation, but whatever. Deviled eggs, I feel like, okay, let me tell you a story about deviled eggs. So when I was a young kid, we went to this church. It was a really like super evangelical Christian church. And now looking back on it, I could almost probably classify it as a cult. It was probably like right on the edge of that. But anyway, we could not say deviled eggs because that was obviously of the devil. So whenever we made deviled eggs, we had to call them angel eggs, which is ridiculous. So you can have any deviled ham, deviled eggs, anything. It had to be angel eggs. So I'm gonna show you how I make my angel eggs, i.e. deviled eggs. Seriously, like you cannot make this stuff up. If you guys know what I'm talking about, let me know. Yes, I have water on my sweatshirt. Okay, let me show you what I put in the filling for my deviled eggs, i.e. angel eggs. All right, so I have my egg yolks in here. To this, I'm gonna add mayo and some dill pickle relish, and I'm going to also do some, there goes my dog, grainy mustard. I got this at Walmart, it's really good. And then I'm gonna do salt, pepper, and a tiny little bit of sugar. So I got my filling done. It's not my favorite I've ever made, but it's not the worst either, which is fine. I'm just making a small batch. So if I was making a larger batch of deviled eggs, I would definitely put this filling in a Ziploc bag and cut the corner off and pipe it in that way. But since I'm just making, you know, like these 4 deviled eggs, I'm just going to go ahead and spoon it in there, which works just fine. So make sure that you taste your filling, and if it needs more salt, add more salt. If it needs more Splenda or sugar, add more of that, whatever you think it needs. Adam tends to like his deviled eggs a little bit sweeter. That's how his mom makes them. So I always put like either a little bit of sugar or Splenda in there. But that is how they turned out. I think I'm gonna grab some paprika and put that on the top just for the heck of it. So I'll go ahead and sprinkle these. And then I think I'm gonna go ahead and put these out in the garage refrigerator, and we will have them for supper tonight. So there you go, deviled eggs, prep ahead, delicious, either snack, dinner prep, or lunch prep. So before I can move on to any other part of the meal prep, I really need to get my dishes done. I am someone who has a hard time cooking in a dirty kitchen. So I have a load of dishes that is done. I'm gonna put those away and load my dishwasher again, and then I'll let you know what I'm gonna make next. I got my dishes in the dishwasher, which means I can continue on with my meal prep. Adam actually has not been eating breakfast. He's been doing intermittent fasting, and he has been skipping breakfast, and he actually has lost like 17 pounds over the last couple months. So I'm very proud of him, but I am still eating breakfast. So here's what I'm planning on making. So I have some of these chicken apple sausages. I'm going to slice those up and saute them with some of these frozen hash browns. These are from Walmart. I'm definitely not going to use this whole package. I'm only making 4 breakfasts for me this week, so I'll probably use about 1/3 of the package. The sausages, and then also some eggs. I'll whisk, well, I need more eggs, but I have some out in the garage, so I'll whisk those up with some half and half. I have a little bit of butter because I like to saute my hash browns in just a little bit of butter. And then I have some goat cheese here to use up, so I thought that would be good with this. And then some green onions on the top, so we are going to get started with that. I'm going to slice up my chicken sausage. So I just like to slice this into like coins, I guess you would say, and then saute it. I'm gonna put it in with the potatoes. Technically you wouldn't have to saute this because it's already cooked, but I like it to be a little bit crispy on the edges. That's how I like it, especially when you reheat it, you know, for a meal prep in the microwave. So let me get this. Uh-oh, I'm getting to the end here, so I'm gonna have to do it 2 at a time. But if you haven't tried this chicken sausage before, I would recommend it. I really like it. I think it's really good for breakfast. I'm sure it would be good like for other meals too. I bet it would be good with sauerkraut for sure. All right, I'm gonna get this in the pan. So I put the sausage in the pan with the potatoes. I also I had a little bit of red pepper left, and so I went ahead and cut that up and put it in there too. I salted and peppered the potatoes. So I'm just going to let this cook until the potatoes are golden brown and the sausage is brown. And then I have my eggs. I went ahead and just beat up 4 eggs with a little bit of half and half and some salt and pepper. So once everything else is cooked, then what I can do is just make like a little well in the center, pour my eggs in there, and just make like a big scramble. So the sausage and potatoes are done. I went ahead and scooted those off to the edge, poured my eggs in the center, and I sprinkled in a little bit of sliced green onion. So now I'm just going to cook this through. Since this is something that I'm going to reheat, I'm going to make sure that I don't overcook the egg. Otherwise, when I heat it up, whoops, sorry. Otherwise, when I heat it up, it'll get a little bit rubbery. Please hold. So that looks delicious. I went ahead and turned the heat off and crumbled the goat cheese over the top. I'm just going to put the lid on and let that cheese melt a little bit before I pack everything up. Our egg scramble is done with the goat cheese. I have no worry that anyone else in this house is going to eat this because I'm pretty much the only one that likes goat cheese. I don't know, Adam will eat it, but again, he's fasting for breakfast. So I'm portioning this out into 4 containers. Since I am using something, or since I'm making something that has to be reheated, I am using glass containers. Save my plastic containers for food that is going to be eaten cold, just because if you microwave plastic containers, it can warp them, and it just works better this way to extend the life of your containers, and you don't have to worry about BPA and all that stuff. So I'm very excited to eat this, which seems to be a common theme today. What am I not excited to eat? I don't know. I'm excited to eat anytime. I'm sure most of you can identify with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this into the containers, and then this would definitely be enough actually for my breakfast. But I think I've been liking to have a little bit of cottage cheese with my breakfast. Don't ask me why. It's something I saw on YouTube, and I really like cottage cheese, and it just gives you a little bit of extra protein to kind of get you through the morning. So I think I'm gonna pack up some small containers of that, and then I will show you the finished product. This goat cheese smells really, really good. Okay, so here is our finished product for the breakfast meal prep. So I've got 4 of the potato, egg, chicken sausage, sort of scramble slash hash, and goat cheese. I don't know. I'm pretty excited to eat this. Looks delicious, smells delicious. And then on the side, I'll just have one of these little containers of cottage cheese. So I had 2 containers of cottage cheese in my refrigerator. One is set to outdate on the 16th. So I went ahead and labeled these just so I eat those first. And then I went ahead and made up an extra just in case I want to throw one in Adam's lunch. And if you watch my grocery hauls, you've heard me talk about this cottage cheese, but I love it. It's the AE Dairy Old Fashioned Cottage Cheese, small curd, 4%, my very favorite cottage cheese. If you're in the Midwest and you can get this and you like cottage cheese, I would totally recommend it. And no, I will not shut up about the cottage cheese gospel of the Midwest. Anyway, that is breakfast. The next, I think I'm going to work on the egg roll. I cannot talk. Next, I'm going to work on the egg roll in a bowl. So for my egg roll in a bowl recipe, I'm using this recipe from the Skinny Taste Fast and Slow cookbook. I love this cookbook. I know I've talked about it before a while back, but I'll link it down below. It's one of my favorites. And this is for egg roll bowls. So the recipe uses ground pork, but I had ground beef on hand, so that is what I am using. And it also calls for like sliced Napa cabbage, but since I have coleslaw mix on hand, I'm just going to go ahead and use that. So basically I'm going to use what I have on hand to adapt this recipe. But I have my pound of ground beef in the skillet here. I just put, I don't know where my ground beef chopper is. I'll have to find it. I just put, oh, it's right here. Duh. I just put a little bit of soy sauce in there. So I am going to brown this up until it is cooked through. And then I'll see if I need to drain it. A lot of times I don't need to drain my ground beef just because we, like I said before, well, I don't know if I said it in this video or not, but we get beef from a local farmer, and it ends up being like about 96.4 lean ground beef. And so sometimes I don't even need to drain it. It's not even worth it to drain it off. So I'm going to get this cooked up and then I'll show you the rest. In with my ground beef and soy sauce, I went ahead and added half of a chopped up onion. I just use a red onion because that's what I had on hand in the fridge, and 3 cloves of minced garlic. It's already smelling really delicious. One thing I forgot to tell you I was going to add is a can of sliced water chestnuts. I'm going to chop these up a little bit finer and add them in here. The recipe doesn't call for it, but I love water chestnuts with Asian food. And then I also added just a few squirts of ginger paste. I added my cabbage mix to the top along with a sprinkle of rice vinegar and some sesame oil. And what I think I'll do is stir this up just a little bit, and then I'll put the lid on and let the cabbage steam until it's cooked through. This will wilt down quite a bit, so even though it looks like a lot now, once you get it cooked up, it'll be a lot smaller. Let me show you. Here is the completed egg roll in a bowl. I do need to taste it and make sure that it has enough salt. If I feel like it needs more flavor, I might add some more soy sauce, but I just topped it with some green onion. So this looks delicious. It smells delicious. I'm going to pack it into some containers for Adam and I. So I have put my egg roll in a bowl into a couple of dishes. This actually made about 3 this size, but I'm just showing you these 2. And I did go ahead and put some fresh cilantro on the top of it just because I like cilantro with any sort of Asian themed or flavored dish. But these are going to be really good heated up this week for Adam and I's lunch. I don't know that, I feel like I've made this before, but maybe it's been a while. So it is good. I hope Adam likes it too. I'm going to get started on washing up my produce. I have my celery here in my salad spinner. Use it to wash all my produce. So I'm just putting the celery in here with some cold water and a splash of vinegar, and then I'll let that soak and rinse it off so it will be ready to go for the week. I have my veggies chopped up. In this container right here is just celery, some sliced cucumber, and then 2 bell peppers. So those will be for us this week for like dipping or in salads. And then I had an extra little bag here of celery. This is mostly just the leaves and some scraps. I'm gonna put this out in my freezer and I'll use it later when I make beef stock or chicken stock. And then for the rest of the celery, I'm gonna store it in a jar like this. I think I've shared this before, but it's been a while. If you store celery in the refrigerator in a jar with water, this will keep for several weeks. And since we won't go through all of this celery, you know, in total, within the next week, I can keep this in the refrigerator, and then next weekend, if I want to make like chicken salad or tuna salad with it, it will still be good to go. So another thing that I'm going to prep is some fruit dip for dinner tonight, or kind of on the side of dinner, I guess. So if you have not had caramel dip for apples, it's really, really good. You just mix together equal parts cream cheese and brown sugar. So I have 1 8-ounce package of 1/3 less fat cream cheese in my bowl, and I dumped in 1 cup of brown sugar. And all I'm gonna do is mix this together with my hand mixer. And once it's all combined, I'll put it in the refrigerator, and then we can have it for dinner with some sliced apples. Here is the completed dip. I went ahead and put it in a dish because I'm going to put it in the refrigerator before dinner tonight. You do want to take it out prior to serving it just because it is cream cheese and it will obviously firm up quite a bit. But another thing I forgot to mention is that I did add about a teaspoon of vanilla extract in there. Other than that, it's super simple. Kids love this. It is a great fall treat with sliced apples, and they will be excited to eat it. All right, so I'm working on washing up my produce. This was like the smallest head of cauliflower ever. I already washed up my broccoli and my tomatoes, so I'm just gonna soak this in my cold vinegar water. And then I think the last thing that I need to do is my strawberries, so we are in the home stretch. So we are wrapping up with today's meal prep. I am so excited to say that everything that was on this counter here is now used up. So I did go ahead and wash my broccoli and cauliflower. We are planning on having this tomorrow night for dinner with chicken and mac and cheese. So I prefer not to buy pre-cut, pre-washed veggies when I can help it, because for some reason, I'm not sure, maybe I'm weird, but I just like washing them myself because I know that they're clean and I know that they're fresh. So You can chop up broccoli and cauliflower, I would say probably up to 5 days in advance, and leave it in your fridge in a Ziploc bag, and it will do just fine. So we'll have that tomorrow for dinner. I had one zucchini and one yellow squash left, and I decided to put this, or cut this into zoodles. I'll show you the zoodler I have. It's called a veggetti. It's very simple. It's not a fancy one. I'll link it down below. They're like 10 bucks. But I decided to do this because I wasn't sure what else I was going to do with these. And this is really something quick that I can throw like into a Tupperware with some marinara sauce and take it to work for, you know, like a quick veggie pasta, or I could make like a quick pad thai or something like that with these. So I did that. And then I also went ahead and washed up my strawberries and cut those up as well. The kids really like these for breakfast, lunch, after school snack, everything in between. Sometimes I get questions on when do I use vinegar for my veggies and fruits? When do I use lemon juice? Pretty much the only time I use lemon juice is when I'm doing greens. So like, you know, like delicate greens like arugula, lettuce, endive, stuff like that. For everything else, I pretty much just use white vinegar. So those are good to go. And then lastly, I just washed up my tomatoes. These are probably a little bit too ripe and squishy. We're probably gonna have to slice these up and eat them for dinner tonight. So that is what I got done today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.